Why is it that I do more mind work than spiritual work? In my journal, I started writing, well, obviously I meditate to find calmness and stillness, but as I continued writing, I eventually wrote, I meditate to busy my mind. You're listening to Joey's Taxi, conversations from the seat of awareness. No fixing, no forcing, just shared presence. Let's ride. Hello, and welcome to the show. I am Joey. I am excited to present to all of you our very first episode of Joey's Taxi. I would love to go into my origin story today, share what Joey's Taxi is all about, and what to expect from our weekly episodes. Well, let's go ahead and jump into things. I grew up in New York City, in the Bronx, with my parents in a one-bedroom apartment. Later on in life, when I was 11 years young, my mom remarried to my stepdad, Phil. We moved into his home in upstate New York in a city called Carmel. Lots of trees, grass, wildlife. I really enjoyed growing up there. I consider myself more of a country boy than a city boy. I went to university for information technology, specifically management information systems. During this time, I was working as a caregiver in group homes. I was working with the mentally and physically disabled population. Got a lot of fulfillment from doing that type of work. Then after I graduated uni, I went into the job force in information technology to quickly learn that information technology was not the field I wanted to work in. I found myself in cubicles. I found myself in these office settings. As a matter of fact, one of my IT jobs, I was in technically a storage room with no windows, and I just had a desk there, and to the side of my desk was all these storage bins and computer peripherals. Yeah, it was an interesting experience. I did that for about 2 years, working in 2 different companies. I left it to go back into caregiving, a field that I really enjoyed while I was going to university. I had an opportunity to move to California. I went on a trip to Egypt, met an amazing friend out there. His name is Fred. Really enjoyed our time going down the Nile River on this cruise ship and walking inside the pyramids. We became really good friends, and we were both only children. So after the trip from Egypt, I realized I wanted to get out of New York. I wanted to do something different. I contacted Fred and I said, how much is rent like in California? He said, don't even sweat it. Just sleep on the couch until you find your own place, rent free. I said, whoa, opportunity I could not pass down. So I took him up on his offer, moved across the country to California, a place I've never been to, but I made it work. I went there, found work in caregiving again and in hospice. I was there for what was meant to be a 1-year experience. Well, actually, I was there for 10 years. And in those 10 years, I eventually found my way into working for the Apple company. It was one of the retail stores in Southern California. I was a salesperson and then eventually became a technician. As a salesperson, I rose through the ranks rather quickly. I was very competitive. I was always about the achievements, wanted to do better than everybody else. And then I made myself all the way to the top of these sales positions, only to find out that there was a promotion that was coming up. I worked really hard for it. I had a big body of work. I put in the time and the effort to work towards this new promotion, this new position. Well, when I found out that I didn't get the position, for political reasons, I decided that, well, I need to take a little trip here, disconnect, and I went over to Thailand for a couple of weeks and explored the Thai islands. From what I could remember, it was a fun time. I was definitely abusing alcohol back then and drugs. Also, toxic love. So I kind of rotated between these 3 numbing factors in my life, for most of my life, actually. Then I went back to California after Thailand, and realized I just didn't want to be there anymore. But I stayed there. I stayed there for we can call it the illusion of safety, the benefits, the pay, the full-time work. So I stayed there. That was back in 2017 when I didn't get this promotion. The following year, I transferred to the Genius Bar to be a technician there. I also met a woman I started dating. was very, very toxic. She had a child from another father. So I went ahead and I kind of played this fantasy of being a stepdad to her child, being a boyfriend to her. I lasted for about 3 months. And I say it's toxic because it was, I don't know if you know about attachment styles. We have the anxious, avoidant, dissociation, secure. Well, the dissociation is typically a hybrid between anxious and avoidant. One person can switch from one to the other. I was, in that relationship, the anxious type. She was the avoidant. No matter how much I was trying to give her affection and try to be close to her, I was only distancing her from myself. She would create more of a separation between the two of us. And that went on for quite some time. After those 3 months, she broke it off, and it was a hard hit for me because not only did I feel like I was losing her, I was losing the child as well. I allowed myself to go into a downward spiral, going with the alcohol and the drugs again, until I just found myself at a Thanksgiving Day table later that year in 2018. In the United States, we have Thanksgiving. And then I just blurted it out in front of everybody that I was not doing well. I was not okay, and I was just spiraling downwards, and I didn't know what to do, but I needed to do something about it. I teamed up with Ashley Waugh. She's actually a neighbor of the colleague that was hosting this Thanksgiving dinner. We worked together, and I also worked with therapists as well to get myself out of this funk, out of this dark place. Then I started building an exit strategy to relocate out of California, out of Apple. That led me to apply for a teaching position to teach English to children in Spain as a foreign language. I went ahead and I applied for that. I got the position. Then 2020 came. Everything came to a halt. I still found creative ways to get my visa and paperwork approved. Everything went smooth for me, and I was able to depart end of 2020, leave Apple, and make my way over to a country I've also never been to, in Spain, Madrid. I went there and I loved the experience teaching English to these children, and it was an interesting time during COVID in Europe. The year after, in 2021, I finished my teaching contract and I went over to the Canary Islands for a 2-week holiday. It's been about 3.5 years now, and I am still living here. Now, 2 months after moving here, I met an incredible woman. Her name is Anna. We started dating. Beginning was great, like in most relationships. You have that honeymoon phase. After the honeymoon phase wore off, about 2 or 3 months later, then a lot of toxicity found its way into the relationship. Now, when I say toxicity, I'm not saying either of us were personally toxic, but it was the characteristics of being in a relationship, maybe from prior relationships, baggage, emotional baggage that we both were bringing into this relationship. And it was very hard. We actually moved in about 8 months of being together. We moved in together, and it was very hard on me sharing the space with someone else. Same for her as well. But we stuck through it. We stuck to it, and we made it really a conscious effort to dig deep as to what's going on within ourselves and figure out what it is that we can do better individually, and then bring these new insights into our shared relationship. We did the work, and about 2 years ago, I found myself in a hypnotherapy program. Not only did I receive it, but I learned hypnotherapy. And the hypnotherapy allowed me to go deeper into my process. I got deep with my hypnotherapy, learned a lot about myself and the root causes of things, got a lot of relief from it, started emptying out all this gunk, this dense energy, this garbage outside of me. And I realized I had a lot of anger inside of me as well. Before this, if you would have asked me if I was an angry person, I'd say, no way. There is no way I am an angry person, and I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. Well, little did I know I had a lot of anger that was stored inside of me. You see, when I grew up with my parents, both my parents struggled with alcohol. There was a lot of verbal abuse in the household. I just endured all of it. As an only child, I didn't have anyone to go to console. My parents were lost in their dramas. So I did the best I could as a child. But again, as a child, you don't really understand these unpleasant sensations that we now can call as anxiety, or just like this unhealthy energy around you when you're a child. You create a place called the subconscious, and you dump it in there. You create this psyche, and then you create these belief systems, and then you live by them. They become part of your identity as you grow up. Hypnotherapy allowed me to connect all of this. After the hypnotherapy program, a year afterwards, I still found myself in toxic behaviors and thoughts, not feeling good. My relationship with Anna had improved significantly, but there were still some dots that were not connected yet. Well, I continued to work on myself. Anna continued to work on herself. Last year in 2024, we discussed the idea of getting married. With all the work we had done together, we felt like it was a good time. Initially, we weren't planning on getting married. We figured, we're together. We don't need a certificate or any sort of formal ceremony to prove our love to each other. But this was more than that. It was more than a certificate. It was a sign. It was proof to us that we have worked on our relationships and we have supported each other. When I say support each other, with our own creative projects, support each other with our emotions and having open and honest conversations, which was a challenge for me before. I used to do a lot of the silent treatment. It's something that my mom used to do a lot when I was growing up. When she was upset with me, and it would just be nothing but silence. There would be a lack of communication, and we just wouldn't talk about things. I did the same thing. Typically, adults, and I'm going to generalize here, when we revert back to unhealthy reactions towards emotions that we're feeling, typically we're reverting back to being an 8-year-old. If you think about it, when we're 8 years old, if we didn't get what we wanted, we stomped around, maybe we yelled, or maybe we just became quiet. So we kind of just revert to that in difficult situations because of the lack of emotional maturity. Emotional maturity has to come from somewhere, and that comes from first having awareness as to what is going on within oneself. I would say having loving people around you, such as my partner Anna, has been a huge mirror to me to show me what is truly going on inside of me in facing these challenges. We improved our relationship. We decided to get married. It was a wonderful celebration, a little small celebration here in Tenerife in the Canary Islands. We had some close friends come through. As time went on, I would say the beginning of this year, 2025, Anna asked me 2 profound questions. One was, why do you do a lot of mind work and not enough of spiritual work? And at the time, I was doing the 6-phase meditation that I learned from Vishen Lakhiani in the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It is a lot of mind work in that meditation, and I was doing a lot of breath work as well. I was doing self-hypnosis. I found myself receiving a lot of immediate relief. But then my unhealthy sensations towards pornography, even alcohol, were coming back. I would say I'm really proud of myself. A year ago, it's been over a year now, April of 2024, I quit alcohol, the drugs as well. That was 2 years ago that I stopped. I was big into marijuana back then. I still had these this sexual energy, this urge in me that would sometimes take over. I would allow it to take over because I was identifying with it. And when she asked me this question, why do I do a lot of mind work and not enough of spiritual work? It got me thinking. And the other question was, why do I meditate? Been meditating for a handful of years now, on and off. The simple answer to her was like, why do you ask me why I meditate? Obviously to find calm and stillness, clear my mind, clear the thoughts, be still. But then I was like, no, there's a bigger reason why she asked me this. I went home that evening. She went to work. She's a Reiki master practitioner and teacher, and she also does massage therapy. When she was at work, I went home and I started journaling about why do I meditate? Why is it that I do more mind work than spiritual work? In my journal, I started writing, well, obviously I meditate to find calmness and stillness. But as I continued writing, I eventually wrote, I meditate to busy my mind. And I was like, wow, that is actually very profound. How true is it that I meditate and I just do busy work, whether it's breath work or it's doing the 6-phase meditation, future visualizations, what I'm grateful for, and doing this every single day. I'm in the mind. I'm still identifying with the mind. Later on in the year, end of March, I decided to go on what I call a surrender experiment. I got this term from Michael A. Singer. He has written a book called The Surrender Experiment. I decided to just say, you know what, I'm pausing everything, except for the personal life. I'm going to keep that going, but my professional life, which up to this point, the last 2 years, I've been so grateful to be working as a workshop facilitator within the mindfulness space. We do meditations, actually, and we use photo cards. Photography is a big part of my life, and I've transformed my photography now from doing the traditional weddings, university graduations, to now doing photography with people to connect with their inner selves, to really capture their true essence. No masks. Their vulnerable and authentic selves. I use this in my workshops. I use photo cards in the workshops. I have teamed up with MetaFox. They are an amazing company, a coaching company, and they have these amazing tools that I use. I paused all my professional projects, all my creative projects. Around the same time, a good friend of mine, Aaron, he mentioned to me about this book, The Surrender Experiment. So I started reading this book. Another friend who was visiting from Barcelona said, hey, why don't you try out this meditation app? It's by Sam Harris. It's called Waking Up. It's a free intro to 30 days meditation on there. And I was like, oh, a meditation course. Yeah, well, I mean, I meditate already. What else can I learn about meditation? I mean, it can't be that hard to do. Just sit still and back straight. But I did it. I started reading the Surrender Experiment. I started exploring this Waking Up app for this meditation course. And wow, my mind was blown. My mind was blown in the sense of, well, when it comes to the Surrender Experiment, just surrendering to what is and just allowing life to unfold in front of you. Not to push against it, not to dictate how it should be, but allow life to happen for you, not by you. Up to this point, I was trying to control everything in my life. Controlling how the relationship is, controlling how the outside world should be, controlling how the barking dogs should be quiet. We live in a very touristy part of Tenerife, and I've always wanted everything to be super quiet, and I would really get identified with the sounds and the noise. I learned to allow life happen for me. Meditation, from a Vipassana meditation standpoint, is just to allow yourself to sit with your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations, to allow yourself to truly feel them. It's more of a lifestyle than it is a tool. By sitting with yourself, allowing all this to happen and observe it, not to react to it. My challenge has been to react to unpleasant emotions and sensations, cling to the good stuff, and resist or push away the unpleasant things. In those 30 days, I learned to really identify with not identifying. I learned that I am pure consciousness. I am pure awareness. With that, I can just sit in the seat of consciousness, sit in the seat of awareness, and be with that. Be with me, and not identify with unpleasant things. Observe them, allow myself to feel through them. I learned a lot in this 30-day meditation app. I highly recommend it. I learned a lot with Michael A. Singer. Let's fast forward now to where we are today. This podcast, Joey's Taxi, is really about the idea of living from consciousness, living from awareness. I'm going to be fusing in teachings, not only from Michael A. Singer, but also from amazing human beings such as Sam Harris. He is a neuroscientist and also an American philosopher. There are some meditation pioneers that brought Eastern philosophy to the Western Hemisphere. These people are going to be Jack Kornfield, Joseph Goldstein, Tara Brach. I've been studying their work, and it's quite extraordinary to see how Eastern philosophy is all about. I grew up in the West, in the United States, and growing up with a mindset of accomplishments and ego-driven, and it's all mind work. There's a lot of disconnection happening in this world, a lot of disconnection to ourselves. We feel disconnected from others. We have social media, so it gives us a sense of being connected with others, but at the end of the day, a lot of us are still not feeling good After what was meant to be maybe a couple minutes of scrolling turns into potentially hours. Where does the time go? Where do we put that time for ourselves? How do we really make that matter in ourselves? I'm going to be fusing in this modality of finding a balance that works for you. It's really about finding your own balance, though, of Western training, Western philosophy, and you have the Eastern philosophy that brings us back to awareness that we are not who we think we are. To ask ourselves, well, who am I then, if I'm not who I think I am? Going to explore these types of conversations. This is not therapy. This is not coaching. It's just conscious conversations. I'm going to be fusing in interviews with other amazing people out there who are doing something good for other human beings. They're being of service to other people, whether it be through their art or their knowledge. I'm also going to share my reflections based on those interviews and other episodes. Then we'll have dedicated episodes to meditations. This is a place to come to rest in the seat of awareness, to relax, and also to let go what no longer serves you, what drives you in a subconscious way, to dissolve the sense of self, our psyche, dismantle it. Before we depart from today's episode, I would like all of us to just take one conscious breath together. You can have your eyes open or closed. Obviously, if you're driving or doing something that requires your eyes to be open, please leave them open. Let's just take this deep breath in a moment here by first starting with our inhale. Allow that exhale just to come out all the way. Observe one thing today without judging or labeling it. That's it. That's presence. Thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for riding along. If you'd like to stay connected, follow the podcast and leave a mindful review. Until next time, stay in the seat.